Environmental Advisory Board meeting for March 16th to order, now that we have established a quorum. Welcome, everybody. It's good to see you all today. We have a pretty short agenda. I don't know if everybody had a chance to see the email from Megan. We are going to wait on the approval of the minutes from the last meeting until next month, so everybody has a chance to review them. The next agenda item after that is announcements, which I will turn over to Megan.
Thank you. So 2 announcements for you tonight. The first one is a bit bittersweet. I have accepted an offer through Durham County Sustainability. And so my start date with them is going to be April 3rd. and that means my final day here is going to be March 29th. I really have loved my time here at Apex and supporting you all, the EAB, so it certainly is bittersweet. But I have full faith that our staff is going to take good care of you as we go through this transition. And with us tonight is also Lindley Painter. She is the Senior Program Support Specialist for Water Resources, and she'll be taking over some of my secretarial roles in the meantime. So thank you all again for everything and all that you do. I will be sending an invite for a farewell party. I hope that you will be able to make it. And if you have any questions about this transition, please feel free to reach out. The second announcement is a reminder to sign up for the shifts for our events. Coming up, we have Earth Fest on April 22nd and Peak Fest on May 6th. We've had 4 folks complete that survey so far. So if the other 5 or 6 of you could go ahead and jump on that so we can make sure that we have all of our shifts covered, that would be great. And that's all I have.
Okay. And does everybody have the link to sign up for the survey? It came out in one of the emails with the agenda. Is that right?
I can send it once more.
Yeah, please send it again. I don't think I
see it.
Okay, great. Well, Megan, we wish you the best of luck. You have done an amazing job with Apex, and Durham is extremely lucky to have you.
Well, we definitely hate to lose you. Lindley, welcome.
Thank you. So Shelley and I will still be here, and Lindley's going to help us fill in the interim until whatever happens with Megan's position. It's still how we go from there, but. So we have some consistency, at least, that will help, and Lindley's going to be a big help, so absolutely.
And I will be here for Earth Fest. I will continue to support that and see that through. So hope that you're able to sign up for us. We can get to see it.
So send all emails to Lindley. Make sure she gets everything right. I'm just messing.
You leave Lindley alone.
Okay. All right, next agenda item, we have the pre-application meeting from Salem Church Road parcels. If you could come up and join us and briefly give us an overview of your project and any of the zoning conditions that you all are considering at this time.
Sure. My name is Peter Connaughton. I work with Jones Connaughton Engineering, the engineer for Helton Homes, who has the property under contract, and actually, you may own it now. I think they just closed on it yesterday. But anyway, the site, there's 3 parcels. They're located off Salem Church Road. They are currently zoned RA, residential agriculture. We are proposing to change the zoning to a medium density, which complies with the 2045 land use, and add a few conditions. I do want to first talk about the development that we're planning first. What we have shown and what we submitted is a single-family residential development. That is if it goes the traditional route of a subdivision through staff review. But I've looked at the site, and it's got a very challenging development, whether it goes for single family or townhomes or whatever's built there. The topo basically slopes across the site from the west to the east, maybe has about anywhere about 14 foot of fall in the topo, which is generally pretty good. The issue really is that If we go the standard traditional subdivision route, it would bring stormwater into play. We'd have to build a stormwater structure, and basically that's going to sit in the eastern part of the site, which is really the low area. So in order to really get a stormwater device to work, you need topo. So anyway, it would require a substantial amount of filling really right at that point, which is where the entrance would be, because we want to align it with the existing entrance to the townhomes across the street. So to really generate that topo that would be required for a stormwater device, we just don't think that's going to be feasible for your traditional development. With that said, our hope and our goal is to really rezone to medium density and to do what they call exempt subdivisions. Basically, these parcels, if we do get rezoned without conditions for things like buffers and those kind of things, we can hopefully do exempt subdivisions to where we can take the existing parcels, submit a subdivision plan through record plat, subdivide those parcels and build. That way we don't have to create any topo for stormwater devices and those kind of things. It would just be a single family residential with street frontage right off of Salem Church Road. So that is our goal, that's our intent and our hope. Because like I said, I think a traditional subdivision is going to be, it's just going to change the whole site. You'd have to bring in a bunch of fill in order to make that work. So with that said, we do propose some conditions with the rezoning. Those namely are related to enhanced landscaping around the site. There's really not a whole lot of tree growth on that property. So adding landscaping we think is important, not necessarily to create buffers, but to create a separation between the properties that are to the north, the existing single family homes. The other thing that we will add, I don't know, I didn't see it necessarily listed, but I saw it in other conditions about adding charging outlets to the garages for electric vehicles. We will add those as well. So those are the two that we are proposing to add to the rezoning. And hopefully that gives you an overview of our intent and what we're trying to do with this rezoning process. So if you have any questions for me, I'm certainly.
This is adjacent to Glen at West High, right?
Pardon?
Glen at West High is adjacent to that?
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Glen at West High, the first 4 lots in Glen at West High are part of town of Apex. The remaining lots are in the town of Cary.
Okay. I'm a little unclear with the lack of trees on there. What are you proposing, trees and landscape? Can you be a little more definitive, or?
What we'll end up doing is planting to the town standard. I just don't want to call it a buffer. But we will plant to the town standard of what would be required between single-family homes and the adjacent existing single-family home neighborhood. If I remember correctly, it's probably a type B buffer.
And you mentioned townhomes. Is that what you're leaning towards, or are they going to be detached, single-family?
I've looked at it 2 ways. I've looked at it from a standpoint of single-family homes as well as for townhomes. There's not a desire to build townhomes. It was just something that I was asked to look at, which I did.
Okay.
If it goes townhomes, it would have to go to a different zoning, the medium density, and we're only proposing to rezone the medium density.
And would these homes be part of an HOA? Would they be their own little HOA? Would there be no HOA?
There's no HOA planned.
Okay.
Are y'all willing to include solar conduit in the building design?
Installing the conduit itself?
Yeah, just the conduit, yeah. Just
pre-configure them.
Basically, you'd be pre-configuring for solar on each of the.
Sure.
I don't think that'll be an issue. No.
Everybody does that.
Yeah, there's no problem in doing that.
And it also looked like you had checked, let's see, I just want to make sure that we have all the ones. Did you also check preserve a minimum of 40% of existing tree canopy?
I checked it, but I mean, just full disclosure there's not a whole lot of existing trees out on that site, so.
It'd be like 3 trees, I think.
Exactly.
And then the other one was 100% of the plants shall be native for the
They'll be, yes.
drought tolerant and native? Okay.
Yes.
And then we have add the solar conduit.
I'd like to add a couple things, if I may. And I understand that most of these houses, they are facing south with the front, so that's not a good place to put solar. So I've written this a little different than usual. I said, if there is a back roof that faces along the arc from east to south to west, then there will be a minimum of 4 kilowatt, a minimum of a 4 kilowatt solar PV system installed on one rooftop. Did I make that clear? I can say it again.
Okay.
That's, I mean, if there isn't a place to put it, I'm saying you don't have to put it. But if there is, then I'm asking for one.
You're asking one. Okay.
Okay, and the second thing, the buffer along Salem Church Road, you're calling out an EE buffer, or an E buffer rather?
No. Sorry.
I'll let it happen again. I'd like to see that to be an A buffer along the road. When I go down 1010 and I see some of these houses where there's no buffer along 1010 and it's busy, that's not good for the people that are even living there, let alone people that are going by. And I would hope that you could consider an A buffer there, where you're calling out a buffer. I know you don't want to see buffers, but you're calling a buffer out on your sketch.
On the sketch, yes, but in the rezoning, we're not going to agree to put a buffer in place in the rezoning as a condition. We do agree that with the solar, with your condition as you stated.
But you don't want to have any buffers, is what you're saying.
That is correct.
If you do it this way, you have to have a buffer, but if you do it with...
See, if we place a buffer, then we lose any type of exemption, and we have to go the traditional subdivision route through.
Let me say it this way then. If a buffer is required or considered, then it should be an A buffer instead of an E buffer. You don't have to do a buffer, but if you're going to do a buffer along Salem Church Road, I'd like to see something that takes the edges off of the thing. Yeah, I mean, if you're not going to do buffers, then you don't have to do an E buffer, or an A buffer or an E buffer for that matter. So, but if a buffer is required, then I'd like to see an A buffer.
Well, I mean, Carl and I will discuss it. I mean, if it goes to additional subdivision road, it's only required, as you said, a type E. There's a big difference between the number of plantings in an A versus an E. I mean, an A is opaque.
Yes, it is, eventually. Not in my lifetime.
Just out of curiosity, what's across the street at the townhomes that Kyle Lanning did? Do you know what kind of buffer that is at front Salem? Because those townhomes back up to it.
1 second, and I can find it.
As well.
With the fence. You got a big 6-foot fence there.
Yeah, that vinyl, yeah.
One moment, just a second. John, while she looks for that, did you still want to include your suggestion 9B to reduce irrigation requirements? The project shall select and plant only warm season grasses.
I would like to see that, yes. Yeah.
Sure.
Please, Board, I'd like to make a comment. Some of you know me, I've been building in Apex for about 35 years, and what's happened here lately, and Bill knows it, a lot in Apex now. If you can find a lot for $350,000, you're lucky. And we found this property, and what I like about it was a lot of people, it can make it to where we can build less expensive homes and maybe get some people in a house that normally would not been able to afford a house. Another thing about this property, it's really deep. So I've talked to one family already, and they looked at it and they said, well, can we have a garden back there? So there's plenty of room. As deep as these are, if we can get the normal, setback from the street and do that, we can let each family have an opportunity to have a garden if they wish. And that was another thing that we was excited about this. But the big thing, reason we were interested in this property, if any of you are familiar, I did Perry Farm, Sugarland Run, Kelly Glen, and we were selling houses for 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and 1 car garage, and selling them for $189. Well, now I can't buy a lot for that. So we're not going to get back to that, but we're going to get somewhere in a bracket to, maybe the 3 to 4 bracket instead of the 5 to 7 bracket. And so that's my whole intent here. So we're trying to keep the cost down as much as we can, and Bill knows my product and all that. We're going to do a good job. We're going to do a lot of landscaping and all that when we do get out there. But we'd like to, every house looks different with different landscaping, and that's really where we're headed. So we please the board.
Thank you. To your point about the lots being so deep, then does that make it possible for some of these homes to put an accessory dwelling unit in the future, or is it going to be not quite that deep with a garage and everything else there?
We haven't even looked at a design yet, other than probably square footage. We're trying to do something probably 1,500 square feet.
Okay.
Because once you get past that, so it's going to be more square footage than so much of design, and still meeting the product that we usually try to build, something that looks impressive from the street. When the first one on the left, it's a double wide mobile home, so it's still got wheels under it. So pretty much anything we do there is going to be an improvement, and that's kind of what we're trying to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
To answer your question, it's a 30-foot type feedback across the street behind the town.
If that's the case, then I'll make my request as a B buffer rather. I think I'd rather see it upgraded, but I understand what Mr. Hilton's saying. To try to get affordable housing in here is a trick and a half.
And keep in mind, these are only recommendations that you all can not implement or carry forward.
Mm-hmm.
Megan, do you have the full list so we can just review them one more time before we? Yes, please, thank you. Okay. And then, did you say you were going to install electric chargers in the or plug in the garage?
The outlets,
okay.
Yes.
220 outlet.
220 outlet.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Is that on our list, or is that?
It's not on our list, because
okay.
I don't think we can ask for that, can we?
So it can be offered, but it's
But
not
we can't
something that's
ask.
enforceable by
We can't ask.
Okay.
by state.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay, so we had those 2 plus the additional 2 that were already checked. Okay, does anybody else have any additional questions or comments? All right, with that.
Do you have a question?
No, I just wanted to let you, the one thing that I've forgotten about that really makes me concerned about increasing the buffers is in order for these lots to sewer, there's no direct sewer along the frontage, so we have to extend public sewer along the frontage to sewer these lots.
And you can't put buffer in there.
Yes, so I don't want to be putting trees in it. That's,
Well, these are just
yeah,
recommendations.
I understand it's right. I just wanted to give you an explanation as to why
I'll still like you after.
why I'm hesitant to offer that, so.
Okay. Is there a motion to accept these recommendations?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Mr. Jensen moves.
I'll second.
Oh. We'll go with Adam doing the second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, appreciate it.
Appreciate it very much.
All right, so that was our only rezoning. Let's see, where did the agenda go? Next item we have is the final budget for event giveaway orders. And so what Megan is showing us now on the screen are the items. The first one are the fans, which is something that we've had in the past, and people do, and you can plant them, right? Yeah, you can plant the handles, and people do seem to grab them and take them, so I do think that they are a popular item, and I personally like them because you can get a lot of, like, information on them, on the front and the back side. Yeah.
There's a small little instruction at the bottom of the front page there about how to plant it, but we decided last year to do a big plant me on the back to make sure that people know what to do with it.
I love that. I think that's amazing. One question that people kept asking is, like, what kind of seeds were there? Does it say? Like,
Yes, yeah,
okay.
and I can send you all a list. I could even print out a cheat sheet for you.
That would be great. Yeah, that would be great.
Could we print out a sign that we could set up behind each one of the options?
That's a great idea.
That way, they won't even ask.
they can just read it for themselves.
We can do that for the next. So you all requested the planter kits, which is what we used last year. They're a big hit. But I did find these seed matchbooks, which allow you to get 1,000 for for a little bit more, rather than 500 for the kits. So it's really just a preference, I think, at that point. I wanted to give you that option.
On the planter kits, what kind of plants are we talking about?
Good question. I do have the answer to that, just not right off the bat. I can find the answer for you.
So this choice then is an either or, right? Either the planter kits or the seed match.
Which one is more fun and be more likely to be used? The planter kit or the matchbook style?
Yeah.
I think the planter kit.
Planter kit, last time we had herbs, I think, basil. And,
Basil,
yeah, and they were very popular.
Yeah.
Kids like to grow stuff.
Yeah. And the matchbooks are really just like a seed packet. So they'd have to get the dirt and a pot or
it's much
ground,
harder, yeah.
prepared ground.
Sort of similar to the
Yeah.
fan,
One
too.
thing.
Yeah. So,
We like the kids.
Yes.
There's a lot of townhomes in town that don't have anywhere to plant stuff. They've got to use pots, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Look at that.
Okay, so let's go with the kits.
And then we switched up, the utensils look a little bit different this time. These were a bit of a cheaper option. And I don't think the others are available anymore. So you would get $250 for this price. It's just a bamboo utensil set with those three. The travel tap. This is also just slightly different than the ones we've had in the past, but very similar. Again, the logo would be on all of these items. So with,
Do they come in another color other than black?
that's a good question. I believe they also come in navy, but let me check that.
I think we had the navy ones last time.
Yes,
I
they
wouldn't
come
call
in
that navy. but-
blue. They come in
It was blue,
lighter
yeah.
blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you prefer the blue one?
Do you think they need to be a brighter color, Patrick?
And just something you can see if you put it on the ground. I mean, that
Yeah, yeah. They have like
black
blaze
mulch kind of goes away.
or like conspicuity yellow.
Yeah, the blue, yeah.
Yeah. Can you see that pretty well?
That's our job.
Hmm.
Is that a green down?
Just black on the left and blue on the
Okay, okay.
That's, green would have been nice. It would have kind of matched the Apex colors. That's unfortunate. What do y'all prefer, blue or black?
I like the blue.
Blue,
Good.
blue.
blue it is.
Green.
Yeah, right.
Back
See.
here. So the total estimated, there might be a little bit extra due to like shipping charges and imprints and things like that, but the estimated total would be just under 4,000, which is what I believe you were.
Okay.
So it'd be good to execute that and order those items.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so again, everybody don't forget to sign up if you are available. I know you're gonna be, John, you'll be away, but that's cool.
I've already signed up for Pig Fest.
Awesome, thank you.
And I will send that link again.
Okay,
It has both things on it? Peak Fest,
Both,
it has
correct,
both.
yes. It has both.
You got my response, right?
Yes, thank you.
and then Megan, will you send out like a final schedule with everybody's name and their time slots?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
And if
perfect.
there's any missing time slots, I'll be sure to flag that, and if anybody can step in. Thanks.
Sure. Okay, that brings us to open discussion. Y'all have any items that you would like to discuss?
I was looking at handouts, but I think it's too late to hand out something like these suet baskets to feed the wild birds. And that can happen next time.
Yeah, I do like that. Maybe we could do
Along
like
with
a
suet.
bird and wildlife focused next time and
Yeah.
like loop that into the,
That'd be fun.
okay, yeah.
I could talk to Home Depot and see if they'll donate some of these, if that fits.
Sure.
I mean, if it's free.
Yeah,
And you all do still have a little bit of cushion, so you can always play with that if you decide.
Okay.
You said those were what, $2 a piece?
This is a little over $2. It's $2.11, I think, and then this guy is $4. That's retail.
Right.
So I can, if it's the wish of the group, I can talk to Home Depot and tell them how strapped we are for money in Apex, and see if they'll come up with something. Can we, if they did, could they put their Home Depot sticker on it? That's the other question. It'd be an advertisement for them.
I don't think you can't promote
I
somebody
want to say
else's.
no right off the bat, but we can look into it. I think that would be leaning on the side of favoritism.
Well, you can give Lowe's a chance.
I would prefer that if we will go with one or the other.
Town and country. Let them bid on it.
Yeah, they'll pay us. Okay, well, I won't suggest that to them then at all.
Yeah, I would say just see what you can find out, because we do have a little bit of time. You know, we have a whole nother board meeting before the event happens. And then, if not, maybe next year we can look into perhaps doing, that's very big expense, single item to give out, but if we could have some kind of game or other thing where somebody could win it, and it's not just something people are grabbing.
Yeah, I would think we'd get for half the price if we do a little begging.
Yeah.
If anybody else wants to go down there and get on their knees with me, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and then, you know, we could, like I said, roll it into maybe perhaps a wildlife education type outreach thing next time.
All right.
Thank you, Bill.
I'll give it a try. Thank you.
Just a couple things. John had asked, and I realize others might be interested, for an update on the lighting UDO and the information we received that it's working its way through staff, that they are very, very busy, and that perhaps next month we'll have an idea.
So you guys will be excited to know that we are now finally back at full staffing, but that happened as of literally 2 weeks ago. So we're still kind of working through everything that's been built up. So hopefully we'll have a better update for you next month, and might even be able to tell you when that's going to council. That last one is a might, because I've been talking to the planning director about it, and she's reviewing it, but I don't know exactly where that is on her list of stuff right now, because she's on vacation this week.
Okay, Shelley, that's...
Hey Shelley, are those only for new developments, or is there some mechanism for like complaint-driven lighting that's already out there?
It would typically just apply to new development, but if there's a particular issue, we can try to work with developers to see if they're willing to meet new ordinance requirements. And I mean, most of our commercial developers are willing to help out with that. The issues that we have difficulty with are other residential developments, because we have a harder time enforcing anything with single family or townhome lighting.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Shelley. And I was just wondering, have you all heard anything about the Wake County, the tree canopy study? Could you give a brief update on that?
Well, we are actually going to be getting a rough draft of the data later on this month. And in April, we'll be getting an initial draft of the report as well. I think that the final document is expected to be presented in May or early June, was my last update. So that'll be presented at Wake County Board of Commissioners. It will not be presented to our town council just as yet by the people doing the report, just because they don't have the staffing capacity to go around to all the towns. But we'll definitely make sure that you guys get a copy once all of that's finalized. And at that point, staff will start analyzing the data in the report, and we'll start looking at things that we can do to make improvements around town. And I'm quite certain that town council will have some suggestions for us. And if you guys have suggestions too, you're always welcome to let us know. I'll be working on that in the planning department. So you guys should all already have my email address, so just let me know if you have questions.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's very
just a word of caution, they will be using 2020 and possibly 2021 aerial imagery, and that's just because of the delay of getting consistent imagery across the entire county. So it will be a little bit dated, but it's just kind of an FYI.
Okay. Perfect, all right.
Sorry, to interrupt again. Shelley, are you envisioning this committee to think about the recommendations and think about the ecological part of it, or maybe I'm not sure, like, how do you expect this group to review and to help out with that effort? Was this draft or final?
I'm definitely open to that. We haven't really sat down as a staff yet because we haven't seen the data or the draft report. We don't know anything really about what's going into it. And so we haven't figured out how we want to bring that forward to the different boards and everything yet. Until we have something to look at, we don't really have a great idea of what recommendations for input we can bring forward. But I'm definitely open to presenting the highlights of that to this board and getting feedback, and then possibly working with either the entire board or a subgroup to think about possible implications of it. It'll kind of just depend on what we get and what kind of scoping we need to be able to do in order to make sure we have adequate staffing and that the board can help out. But it's not something that we've disregarded or decided not to do yet.
And so, so as far as the format that it's being provided to you, it will be coming with a list of recommendations from the folks that have done it, or that's sort of up to the municipalities to?
There will be individual sections for each of the municipalities. I do not know if that will include specific recommendations for each municipality. So you may recall, for those of you who are on the board when this started, Apex did participate in 2018 and 2019 in the Trees and Stormwater Report, which did some land cover analysis as well as a part of that, and included quite a long list actually of recommendations. We're still working our way through those and trying to get them implemented. This may have some additional things that we can add on to that as well. And that report is still on the town's website. It will be very interesting to see how that's changed in the 4 years. They used 2014 data, I think, on that analysis, so this will be a 6-year gap between data. So we'll have a little bit more information about how that change is going to happen or has been happening longitudinally. So I can reach out to Wake County and ask them if they plan on including, and I think Davy Tree is the group that's working on this, and ask both groups if they plan on including recommendations for each municipality, or if this will be more of a here's the data, here's the analysis of the data, and here are things that people have done kind of nationwide. So I can reach out and ask that question and get more information.
And as far as the area that it's covered, the earlier tree one, that was just in the town's municipal boundary.
That's correct, and that was the municipal boundary as of 2014.
Right, and so with this one, do you know, are you getting the ETJ as well, or?
So we will be getting all of Wake County.
Okay.
But the municipal boundary that will be used is for the year that the data was collected. So I think it's 2020, it could have been 2021, it's one of the two. So we'll also get a picture of how much the municipal boundary has grown since then as well. But it's doing the entire county, so if nothing else, we should have access to Wake County's data and be able to fill in the ETJ pockets.
Okay, great. Thank you. This is very exciting.
Suzanne, I had one more comment. Sorry to cut off.
Sure.
But without seeing the report, I don't know how it's going to look, but I would suspect there are plenty of issues on private land that are being identified. And just thinking about this group, you know, one of your charter things is to be about education. And I think hearing something from the citizens group versus the town to like make a change or to suggest a change would be much more, they could be more friendly to you guys than to the town. And so I think that's one thing to think about is like the education part of your purview and how that could be applied to whatever is shown in that report. Just to think about, as you're reading it, maybe thinking about how you can do it that way, possibly.
Question I have is regarding PFAS, PFOA, Gen X. EPA just released new guidelines on that yesterday, maybe. I don't know if we ever get into groundwater, drinking water discussions and education on that stuff, but I'm just wondering, is that a topic of discussion here? I mean, I've seen the town's reports on the drinking water coming from Jordan Lake and the concentrations of different contaminants in there. And I know that PFAS and PFOA and Gen X are all big issues in the area, so I'm just kind of wondering where we are with that, and do we ever discuss that kind of stuff?
I can speak some to that. I mean, I'm in stormwater, but in water resources, we have staff that's dedicated to drinking water and sewer, but I know that it's come up in conversations I've heard, and we defer a lot of it to the town of Cary, because they run the water treatment plant.
Okay.
You know, we're part owners in it, but the messaging is coming, you know, from Cary on that, and I can find out more, but, you know, town staff is well aware of it.
Yeah. Well, it's just becoming more of a concern, sort of globally, by homeowners and people drinking water, because it's everywhere. I mean, rainwater in most regions exceeds the EPA levels that have been accepted. So people are going to start seeing that and asking more questions. I don't know if there's an educational component for the town of Apex or something worth talking about there.
I think it could definitely be one if that's something that the board wants to take up. So either wholly or in
Yeah, but
portion.
something for future discussion. I just wanted to bring it up because it's what I'm involved with to a large extent.
Some of our water utility staff to speak to the EAD or, you know, ask questions of them.
Okay.
At a future meeting, so.
The other question I had is the tree cap planting trees tomorrow? Is that happen? When is the Arbor Day thing? When it,
That is an excellent question.
Did I
looks
see-
like Megan is doing a quick search. I actually just had a conversation with Philip Barnes today, but we did not cover that particular topic.
okay, I thought I saw on the,
Tomorrow.
it is.
From 3:30 to 4:30 at Town Hall.
Okay. like, do you know where the trees are gonna be planted?
That will be a surprise to all of us.
Okay. So if I wanted to come at 3:30 just to watch and see the trees, just
Yes.
walk around till I find trees.
Shoot me an email tomorrow, Suzanne.
Okay.
And I'll get up with Philip and ask that question, and he'll be able to tell us.
Okay, perfect, all right.
I do
Anybody
have something.
else who wants to come by is welcome to send me an email. I'm happy to help.
So a slight update from the special committee. We met together and decided that the best thing or the most short-term project that we could do is to focus on Earth Fair or Earth Fest, and that we would pick a theme, which we're already doing, that would go across all three groups. We're doing the invasives and the native plants, and Bee City is going to do the how native plants is actually helping pollinators in the area, and the tree cap is going to bring in what trees and native trees can do as far as pollinators go. So it's this sort of all-encompassing thing. One of the things we wanted to do is have all three groups sit together at EarthFest. How do we get that done?
So the only group that actually has a booth at EarthFest has requested it is EAB. So with that said, Bee City and Tree Cap can join you at the booth.
Loiter. Can loiter.
They can loiter. But I'll reach out to them and let them know, unless you want to relay that information.
I think we should add no loitering signs to the to the budget here.
I'm meeting with them on the 20th. I guess that's Monday, I guess. Yeah. So I can.
And I'll reach out to the staff liaisons.
Okay, perfect.
They can buzz around the tent.
There we go.
As long as they don't put down roots,
There
right?
you go.
Oh, man.
I'm surprised it wasn't posted on the Instagram page, Town Apex Instagram page.
We'll talk to somebody about that. Yeah. They like to put pictures up with those things, so they just don't have pictures.
Okay. Any other items? All right. Would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Jason. Is there a second?
Right here.
All right, Sean seconds. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, anybody opposed? And nobody's abstaining. All right, thank you all very, very much. That concludes our meeting for this evening, and thank you, Megan.
Yes.